Good morning. The October 28th, 2020 meeting of the Board of Estimates is now called to order. In the interest of promoting and maintaining health and safety as we continue to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, the Board of Estimates continues to be streamed live and we meet virtually. Madam Comptroller, are there any corrections, additions, or deferrals on the agenda?
Yes. Please note that on page 23, letter C, the subheader currently reads Employees and Elected Officials Retirement System. Please delete and insert Employees Retirement System. Please note that no protests were received at today's meeting. Please note that on pages 91 and 92, item 18, Acme Auto Leasing Extension is being deferred from today, October 28th, 2020, until November the 4th, 2020. Please note that we were moving to the non-routine, page 21, item 1, Baltimore City Council personnel. Also, page 72, Department of Audits, Department of Recreation and Parks Biennial Performance Audit, fiscal years ended June 30th, 2019 and 2018. Please note the following abstentions for the Honorable Mayor Bernard C. Young, page 23, item 2C. Please note for the Honorable President Brandon Scott, there are no abstentions. Please note for the Honorable Comptroller Joan Pratt is abstaining on pages 22 through 24, item 2. Page 31, number 20 only. Please note for Acting Solicitor Mrs. Dana Moore will be abstaining on page 74, item 3. Please note for Acting Department of Public Works, Mr. Matthew Garbach, there are no abstentions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would direct the board members' attention to the memorandum from my office dated October 26, 2020, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items together with any corrections and additions that have been noted by the comptroller. I will entertain a motion to approve all the items contained on the routine agenda.
Good morning, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, Madam Comptroller, all members of the board. I move approval of all matters on the routine agenda.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. The motion carries. The routine agenda items have been adopted. The first item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 21, Baltimore City Council personnel matter. Director Herbert, I think, is here. Director, are you here?
Yes, sir. I'm here, President.
Thank you, Director. This is an item that I move to the non-routine because I have some concerns about these positions and the process. So, Director, I'm going to go through a series of questions with you about this particular issue. Number one, where did the request to create these 9 positions come from?
They came from the mayor's office to our office of classification and compensation.
So that means this request for positions in my office did not originate in my office, correct?
That is correct, Mr. President, and that has happened previously as well. There were a number of positions that were created a couple of years ago, and that request also came from the mayor's office.
Who created the board memo that was forwarded to the Expenditure Control Committee?
The board memo is created by my Director of Classification and Compensation. They are then reviewed by myself, and my electronic signature is placed on them. And
that same person initialed the memo?
Yes.
So the board memo for these positions, which was submitted to the committee, states the Department of Human Resources has reviewed a request from the Office of the City Council to create these 9 positions. But as we discussed, and you have stated, the request did not come from my office, correct?
That's correct, sir.
So that would mean that the memo itself is inaccurate, correct?
Yes, technically. Again, this creates
yes and no will suffice, Mr. Director.
Well,
so, but if the memo states that the request is coming from the office of the city council, and the memo doesn't come from the office of the city council, that means the memo is inaccurate.
Well, Mr. Council President, the memo was created in the same fashion that the memo has been created in the past, when the mayor's office has allocated resources to create funds in the council president's office. Those funds are allocated by the mayor's office at the direction of the mayor. Our office receives that request from the mayor's office. The only thing that we do in DHR is to, one, review the request to create the positions, to ensure that the positions are classified correctly, and secondly, to ensure that the positions are funded by finance. And so it is a process through which both our office and the Department of Finance verify that the positions are funded and classified correctly before they are sent to the Mayor's Expenditure Control Committee. These positions are created in the same fashion that the previous positions were.
Mr. Director, I just want to jump in there for a second. Thank you. And as you know, as a former staffer, I know how the agencies work, but it's been my recollection and understanding and being here and seeing how this has happened. Normally that's done in collaboration with the council and the office of the council president. That did not happen here. And what the explanation states is that the city council is expanding in order to assist more constituents throughout the city of Baltimore. So who provided that justification if the council itself did not provide that justification for how we want to add more positions, for how we want to serve the city of Baltimore?
That request came, like, as I indicated previously, Mr. President, that request with the justification came from the mayor's office.
Thank you. And all the positions intended for all council office, or just the president's office, or do you not know?
I believe that these positions would be under the direction of the council president. And
Mr. Herbert, I am pretty sure that you are familiar with Administrative Manual Procedure 23-3-2.
I don't have it in front of me, but I'm generally familiar with all of the administrative manual provisions. Yes, sir.
So that procedure lays out the steps that must be followed when the agency requests the creation of position. And so I'm going to walk through those with you really quickly. The first step is to be completed by the agency. It says the agency is responsible for completing and forwarding position description to that agency's assigned budget analyst in BBMR, which is, of course, the Budget Bureau. But that didn't happen here. The agency did not submit the request. Do you have a copy of those position descriptions?
Yeah, well, Mr. Mayor, if I may, for a moment, I think Mr. Council President, this AM manual applies to an agency. The city council is not an agency. It's a body of elected officials. I think that there's a distinction there that needs to be made. But what I will say is that the classifications for which the request was submitted to our office requested.
Mr. Director, I'm going to jump in for a second there. So, one, then what governs us, and two, then how, when we're dealing with everything else budget related, is the council considered an agency? For example, when we were all told that every agency should be looking for cuts in their budget to help with the fiscal responsibility with the impending Kerwin legislation, we ourselves, as you know, we presented positions that we wanted to cut to show that the council and the council president's office also value how we were going to be ready for Kerwin. If we're considered an agency when those types of things are happening, how will we not be considered an agency for these types of things?
And Mr. Council President, again, with respect to that, I can't speak to what the council was asked to do. It's my understanding that those cuts were volunteered by the council. That the mayor, it's my understanding that the council wasn't told that cuts had to be made in the council. but that those cuts were volunteered. That's my understanding.
Well, I understand, Director, but no, we did put them up, but we were told, like everyone else by BBMR, we had to look at those cuts. So just a second step there. So it then requires BBMR to approve or disapprove and to take some other steps. So we'll assume that those steps were taken. The policy requires BBMR to, among other things, identify funding source, availability funds for the new positions. Has the Budget Bureau provided this? Were these identified? The budget number associated with the position on the memo provided to the ECC does not identify a source. Is that general fund? Does that mean that the source was not identified? Are the funds even available? How are we able to understand that information if you have it?
The funding source there is a general fund source. BBMR did confirm that funding was available for these 9 positions.
And do we know, especially with our fiscal challenges, and I don't know if Director Raymond or someone can address it exactly from where these funds are coming from the source. Do we know exactly where they're coming from?
I will defer to my colleague, Director Raymond, with respect to the exact source of the funding stream.
Director.
Mr. Mayor, honorable members of the committee of the Board of Estimates, this is Henry Raymond, Director of Finance. In response to the President's question, it will be general fund revenue. Specific sources will be identified at a later point in time because it'll require a supplemental, but most likely it'll be from real property taxes. And I understand your position. The city is having financial challenges, but we have the capacity to provide the funds to support these 9 positions.
Thank you. And Director Raymond, I mean, I just find this to be very interesting because we know the hits that are coming from COVID to the general fund. We still have to be prepared for Kerwin making the assumption that the General Assembly will override the governor's veto. And when we still don't know, and what we hear from you and everyone else is that we are in a very delicate fiscal situation. I just think that this is a very, very unwise time to be doing this. I just want to also ask Director Herbert, BBMR must then provide their recommendations to the ECC along with some documents. Do you have copies of those documents?
And typically, Mr. President, at the ECC, what typically happens is that every member of the ECC or the Expenditure Control Committee is provided a copy of the memo, which includes the request and the recommendations of the classification and compensation, who has reviewed the classifications to make sure that they're classified properly, and has also verified that BBMR has signed off on funding. And then the members of the ECC individually vote on those proposals. I do not attend those meetings. It is my understanding that that the members of the ECC all voted to advance these positions forward to the Board of Estimates.
Madam Comptroller?
I have some concerns. I have some significant concerns about creating 9 new positions in the council president's office at a time, as we're stating, of economic uncertainty, and when the transition to a new council president is less than 2 months away. And, I have some other comments, but I'll wait until the vote is called.
Thank you. And Mr. Director, can you provide the members of this board those documents?
Yes, sir. I will provide a copy of the all of the documents that our office maintained with respect to these positions to the board.
And also, Mr. Director, can you provide a written understanding or explanation of how the administrative manual procedure does not govern the way that the council would have to do this, and how and what governs that as well?
I would defer, as I believe that would require a legal opinion. I would defer to the law department on that. I can write a memo that reflects the Department of Human Resources' understanding, but I believe that would require at some level a legal opinion.
Madam Solicitor, do you want to chime in?
I have to chime in, Mr. President. You know, over the past year, the city council, you recognize me?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, hold on. Get 1 second. I'm gonna recognize you as soon as she responds to the question. Sorry.
Good morning, everyone. The law department would be happy to take the question and do the analysis and provide a written memorandum.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Mr. President, over the past year, the City Council has passed sweeping laws that include legislative analysis requirements, equitable oversight, and charter amendments that, among other things, expand budgetary powers for the Council. These historic policy shifts require a corresponding investment in human capital infrastructure to meet the necessary challenges of administering more balanced governance between the mayor and the City Council. Investing in this way transform the council's intent into real action and adequate provide tools to develop a competent, transparent, and effective council. For the council president to push for these legislative reforms on one hand while leaving the cupboard bare on the other hand is simply unconscionable. There is no other way to describe this behavior in response to my investment in a more transparent and equitable city government structure. Adding these positions provide resources to the ideas of transparency and equity rather than continuing to perpetuate trite and valueless lip service. But that's what it is. Mr. President, I think what you are doing, we have never challenged any type of personnel matters that come before this board. And in my opinion, to weaken the council president's office, while as mayor, you have unlimited resources to do all things you need to do, I think is just unconscionable. And I don't understand your reasoning for doing this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
I just want to recap everything here. And one, the positions are not being requested by me in my office. And while what the mayor said is absolutely correct, that the council will have more responsibility moving forward, those pieces of legislation do not take effect until July 1, 2022. So we have quite a bit of time to get through COVID, get into the next term, work, as I said, that I will, hopefully, as I'm going to be elected the next mayor of Baltimore, with the incoming council president and the council about how to responsibly work around getting them the things that they need to take on those extra responsibilities. But this procedure is not the way to do it. This should have been discussed. We've never seen this where the agency leaders, the agency itself is not involved in the discussion. And that's what the crux of my issues are. And we're also in the middle of a devastating public health pandemic. We also are laying off almost 68 longtime frontline city workers. We know at a time like this, we have to make sure that we are looking every single place to operate the most efficiency and the most effectively with our dire budgetary outlook. When you think about what's happening to our restaurants and small businesses, when people are losing their faith in city government because of people thinking folks are looking out for special interests, this simply at this time does not make sense. Creating non-high paying white collar positions within City Hall while our central workers are being laid off doesn't make sense. We know and we agree that we have to continue to make real progress on transparency, on efficiency. We've made progress in my office of reducing the size of the office without taking away our efficiency and effectiveness. You don't often hear that. Someone in a position like mine who wants to be more efficient, make ourselves smaller. We presented cuts to the administration so that the city council would be a part of saying, we believe that we have to invest in the future of our city and our young people. And 3 of those positions were given up, including one one that was a fiscal analyst. This request right now is not, this is not the way to make the changes that need to be made. Madam Comptroller?
Yeah, as I stated, I have concerns, and I will be voting no because of, we're at a time of economic uncertainty, and when the transition to the new council president is less than 2 months away, the COVID-19 pandemic continues to affect our local economy and the operations of city government. And all indications are that the pandemic will likely continue through the winter. If the city, in my opinion, is going to create new positions now, those positions should be dedicated to providing vital services for city residents, such as trash removal and public health support. The appropriate way to evaluate positions in the council president's office is for the new council president, who we know will take office in early December, to conduct his own review and request new positions if he determines they are needed. I just think that today's personnel actions are premature, and I question whether they are in the best use of city resources, given the serious constraints of our fiscal year 2021 budget.
Thank you, Madam Comptroller. I will entertain a motion.
Before you entertain the motion, Mr. President, I'd like to have a final comment.
Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. President, you're moving during a time where you're talking about the fiscal restraint that we have as a city, but yet you want to create a city administrator position that also is going to have staff that is required if you look at the structure of a city administrator. So you can't have it on both hands. You can't say on one hand that we want to have a new type of government structure in the city of Baltimore, and then on the other hand say, I'm going to weaken the president's office and not give him the tools that he needs in order to serve the city. I served this president, and I knew for a fact that we didn't have enough staff to serve the entire city of Baltimore. We did the best that we could, and people had gotten a lot of comp time, which if they leave, they can't cash in on it, but yet they were out there working daily, every day. And I think for you to, question personnel moves by the mayor's office, when I fought hard to get an analyst that will tell the city council what that bill would cost the city in dollars and cents, and you cut that, I think that was irresponsible of you to do that. And I think all this is political, Mr. President. When you become mayor, you're not going to work with the president to give him the tools that he needs, which will cause a fight between you and the president. What I'm trying to do is avoid that and make this a smooth transition for you and the council president. So I don't know why you would be disingenuous in your questioning of these positions. I think it's really sad that you're doing this. I mean, while we have other issues facing the city, and we have done everything humanly possible to keep people fed, to keep people housed, to pay people rent, to give money to small businesses, and the list go on. And for you to hold up this meeting arguing about non-positions that you know for a fact that the council president needs. You did all this for expediency for your council, for your mayor's race. And Mr. President, I respect you, but I think what you're doing is disingenuous and dangerous. So when you become mayor and you try to create positions, you're going to have the council president questioning your position. So I just want to put you on point that what you're doing is traveling up dangerous roads.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And you know that I love and appreciate you, but in this issue, I just disagree. And we've had conversations with your staff that the administrator's position and the staff will come from existing positions in the mayor's office. We've had that conversation with your staff. It's been very clear about that. And we know that giving up the fiscal analyst position was not something that I wanted to do. As you know, I used it as a council member. But when we're talking about making sure that we were participating and ready for Kerwin, I knew it was the right thing to do. And we'll work with the council president. I've worked with him literally the whole time I've been an elected official. I just disagree with the process and how this is being done. I will entertain a motion for the item.
Good morning. I move approval of the personnel matters that are on page 21, item number 1, items A, B, and C of today's Board of Estimates agenda.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Nay.
So the record really reflects that Madam Comptroller voted no and City Council President Scott voted no.
Yes, ma'am.
Young, Moore, and
Correct.
Garbark approved. Okay,
Yes,
you guys
ma'am.
spoke at the same time, so you canceled each other out in terms of sound. Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you, everyone.
The ayes have it. The item is approved. The second item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 72, Department of Audits, Audit Report. We will hear from the City Auditor, followed by Department of Recreation and Parks.
Good morning, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, Madam Comptroller, and the members of the Board of Estimates. I am here, my name is Josh Pash, and I am the City Auditor. I am here to present the biennial performance audit on the Department of Recreation and Parks for fiscal years ended June 30th, 2019 and 2018. The objectives of our audit were to determine whether the department met its performance measure targets, to evaluate whether the department has adequately designed internal controls related to the selected performance measures, and to follow up on prior findings and recommendations included in the previous biennial performance audit report dated December 4th, 2018. The services included in our audit scope were Service 645 Aquatics, Service 646 Park Maintenance, and Service 654 Urban Forestry. The performance metrics that we looked at were for Service 645, percentage of pools meeting maintenance standards. The department did not obtain annual operating permits for fiscal years 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018 before opening its public pools as required by the Code of Maryland regulation. We did note that the pools did have the inspection by the Department of Health and that they passed their inspection, but because that they didn't pay the fee for the permit and inspection, they were not issued the permits. For Service 645, percent of pools meeting maintenance standards. The department's methodology overstated actual results for 2019 and 2018 reported in the budget book. The way they calculated were all pools that passed inspection were included, and so that they always reported 100%. However, when we asked about the process of determining the metric, the calculation was the pools that passed inspection as a percentage of pools planned to be opened. And in that case, the actual metric was 93% and 68% for 2019 and 2018. And however, it was reported as 100%. For Service 646, number of playgrounds with 100% functional components. The department did not have a reasonable methodology to set the target and measure the actual results before fiscal year 2019, which affected the accuracy of the performance measure. Specifically, the department was reacting to complaints received via 311 calls and from visual inspections by park employees and staff, rather than a proactive basis of periodic inspections. So in this case, the results and the metric was reported based on service requests open. And if there was no service request open at the time of the metric, then they reported 100% functional components. However, the expectation that audits brought up and was agreed to was that all the parks should have an inspection and be looked at so that it can be evaluated. For in this case, if there was no service request on a park and it hadn't been inspected, then it was assumed to be 100% functional. Service 654, number of tree maintenance service requests received. We noted that the department had a flow chart for processing service requests received for tree maintenance. However, there was no formal policies and procedures to determine whether the service requests and the work orders are closed within established timeframes and accurately reported in the budget book. In addition, the department does not monitor the service requests and work orders, which caused the overstatement of fiscal year 2019 and 2018 actual results and the existence of a significant number of open work orders. For example, 1,420 of the 3,615 initiated work orders for fiscal year 2019 were still outstanding as of June 3rd, 2020. Service 654, number of tree maintenance service requests received. The performance measure for number of tree maintenance service requests received is an output measure for DRP. And a reasonable measure cannot be determined to determine the effectiveness of the department because the number of maintenance requests received is outside of their control. And so the recommendation we have there was to reevaluate the performance measure in this area and to determine one that meets their objectives. We also noted that according to the fiscal year budget books 2018, 19, 20, and 21, for 2019, the department had stated that they met 2 of the 3 performance metrics, and for 2018, the department met 1 of the 3 selected performance metrics. We also looked at prior year findings. Of the 7 prior year action plans that were followed up on for this performance audit, 2 of the action plans were fully implemented, 5 action plans were partially implemented. And I will summarize those. So, partially implemented, we had Service Center 645 Aquatics. The performance metric was total number of visitors to outdoor pools. The original finding was the department was unable to provide support on how actual attendance for the pool were calculated, and there was lack of adequate supporting documentation for the daily cash collection reports used to account for cash collection. We, during our audit, noted that the department has developed policies and procedures for attendance. Specific guidance, however, was not provided for recording and reconciling attendance to supporting documentation. We also noted that the department implemented the use of wristbands for attendees. However, the department does not reconcile the number of wristbands sold to the amount of cash collected daily. As a result, we can't determine completeness of the cash collected or the wristbands that were recorded as being issued. There was another finding of not meeting performance measure targets for this measure, and that was fully implemented. For Service 651, Recreation for Seniors, the performance measure was total attendance at senior recreation programming events. We noted in the previous audit that for fiscal year 2016, the target amount was incorrectly reported as 40,000 when it should have been reported as 6,000. We noted this finding was partially implemented, and for fiscal year 2018, the actual attendance data reported in the budget book was 8,127 compared to the adjusted target of 6,800. However, we did not find an explanation for the target change in the budget book, which was one of our recommendations to have clarity of transition from one year to the next in the budget book. For Service 646 Park Maintenance, the performance measure was number of playgrounds with 100% functional components. The prior finding was no formal written policy on the playground repairs and how they're being tracked, and we included that in our review this year, and it has been partially implemented. We also noted that there were other concerns and issues that were brought up at the Biennial Audits Oversight Commission, which we included in prior year scopes. One was grass cutting for fiscal year 2017 and 16 policy and procedures. The department did not have adequate documentation to show verification of frequency of grass cutting in those years. In our review this year, the DRP was noted to have developed procedures that verify, monitor, and document scheduled grass cuttings in city parks. However, those procedures were not in place during fiscal years 2018 and 2019, and therefore did not fall within our scope, and we did not have enough data to review that. We also noted a concern of the Biennial Audits Commission was stock inventory, and a prior finding regarding to that was that the department facilities failed to keep a property inventory form on various locations, resulting in facilities not maintaining records of its inventory and unable to provide a dollar value for its inventory, which is used in the annual financial reports. We noted this as partially implemented. According to the department policies and procedures, all stored items and actively used items must be physically counted at least twice a year. However, the policies and procedures do not include a comparison of the physical counts to the inventory records that are being maintained to determine if there needs to be an adjustment. We also had from the Biennial Audit Commission, we looked at hiring of temporary employees, and in 2010 through 2014, prior audit noted that temporary positions are not advertised through the city websites as the full-time positions. And when we did our review here, this has been fully implemented, and those positions are now properly advertised through the city website. That concludes my presentation, and I will entertain any questions that you have.
Thank you. Director Moore.
Morning, Mayor Young, Council President Scott, Comptroller Pratt, and all board members. I want to go through the findings for the FY 18 and 19. The first finding in reference to the annual pool operating permits, we disagree with this finding because, as Mr. Posh stated earlier, these pools are inspected and passed by the Department of Health. There has been in the past discussion about the waiver of the Rankin Park fee for the permits, but I have since spoken to the current health commissioner, and we're going to have a follow-up meeting so that next summer we'll have a determination if the fee will be permanently waived in writing, or if we need to look at starting to fee. But that's in recommendation one, and the second finding in reference to our aquatics. As we all know, we have 23 operating pools, but from summer to summer, these budget books are established a year prior. So when we get ready to start the next pool season, there are chances where these pools may not operate, and we have to shut some of these pools down. But we will work closely with BMR to look at that target and look at if that is a measure that we need to continue to consider with the inconsistency of our pool operation. For finding three, we have a written policy and procedure. We will continue to revise that written policy and procedure for our playground. We do have a certified playground safety inspector on staff now. We're moving that position from contract to the full-time FTE with the full-time role of playground, where she has currently reviewed and inspected over 70% of our playgrounds now. As we all know, we have over 140 playgrounds. That is something that we will continue to improve. We do agree with that finding. For finding four, and what in reference to our forestry and how we handle work orders, we have agreed that our forestry department will look at our current written policy and procedures with clear action plans and milestones where we'll have this policy and procedure in place going forward with an updated schedule SLA and city works by February 1 of 2021. And the final finding in reference to forest control, we would definitely have discussions internally where we do agree with this finding. We have definitely discussions internally to discuss the urban forestry and make sure we have a measure in accordance to where we can measure according to the law. And that could include my response to the most recent findings for FY 18 and 19. I'll open any questions that the committee may have.
Director Moore, just a quick question around the wristband issue. I think I know why things don't add up, but is this because of the wristbands are for young people and folks who have like paid and been able to get in? Is the disconnect on the numbers related around to some of the financial challenges for some of our young people and people at our staff just doing what I call being a human and allowing young people to swim without the ban, or quote unquote without payment?
That it's a mixture of those things, that being one. And I think going forward, that is something that as you know, we move forward as an agency, we need to look at. If you recall, this past year we did not have a fee for all of our swimming pools, and maybe that is the approach going forward. Is that we look at that as an option, and we got to figure out how we adjust in our budget to make up for those expenditures. But maybe that is the solution going forward, but that is some of the explanation.
Thank you. Any other questions from any of the other board members? All right, seeing none, the audit report is noted. Before we close, I did want to highlight today that the board approved a renewal of cybersecurity insurance. A modern city needs modern technology, infrastructure, and protections. All of us remember the devastating impact of the ransomware attack, which happened on the first day and a few weeks into Mayor Young being the mayor. It's our responsibility to ensure nothing like that ever happens again. And that's why we established the Cybersecurity Committee, and why we'll continue to work hard on bringing the city government into the 21st century. Thank you, everybody. As there's no more business before the board, we will recess until bid opening at 12 noon, and we'll reconvene November 4th, 2020. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Board of Estimates is now in session for the receiving and opening of bids as part of the overall effort to limit transmission of COVID-19 virus. The Board of Estimates is conducting bid openings virtually. Members of the public can call in to listen to bid openings live by calling 443-984-1696 and entering access code 0817325. Board of Estimates meetings are broadcast live on Charm TV, Channel 25, on Comcast Cable in Baltimore City. Meetings are also streamed at the internet at www.charmtv.baltimore.com/watch-live. The Board of Estimates will continue to conduct bid openings virtually while the state of emergency declared by the Mayor of Baltimore and the Governor of Maryland remains in effect. I have two addenda to note. Department of Transportation, TR 18016, the Baltimore Convention Center, Sharp Street Water Intrusion Repair. Please change the bid due date from October 28, 2020 to November 18, 2020. Bureau of Procurement, B50006011, Water Clarifier Cleaning Services. Please change the bid due date from October 28, 2020 to November 18, 2020. Thank you. The first item is Department of Recreation and Parks, RP 17802R, Dipsky Park Improvement with a bid bond. The bidder is Pete Flanagan and Sons Incorporated with a bid bond. Total dollar amount, got it, is $2,926,425. $2,926,425. The next bidder is Dsm Properties Llc with a bid bond. Total dollar amount, $1,527,084.87. $1,527,084.87. The next bidder is Allied Contractors, Inc. with a bid bond. Total dollar amount, $2,477,500. $2,477,500.
Okay, these will be referred to Recreation and Parks.
The next bid is the Bureau of Procurement, B50006133, Quick Lime for Water Treatment. The bidder is Greer Industries, Inc., doing business as Greer Lime Company. Total bid price on page 2. $465,360. $465,360. The next bidder is Carmuse Lime. Total dollar amount is $465,930. $465,930.
These will be referred to the Bureau of Procurement. Never seen one that close.
The next item is Bureau of Procurement B50006134, Ferric Chloride for Wastewater. The bidder is Camara Water Solutions, Inc. Total dollar amount, $5,712,000. $5,712,000. The next bidder is PVS Technologies, Inc. Total bid amount is $5,890,500. $5,890,500.
There should be one more, tank line transportation. And then also listed as Penco, but it says no bid.
She said it should be one. Okay.
Tank line transportation.
Okay, Tank Line Transportation, Inc.
Yes.
Total dollar amount, $8,703,750. $8,703,750. Let's submit it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also on the sheet is Penco Inc., but there's a note that no bid was received, I guess. So, these will go to Procurement for their review.
You said also should be on there as well?
Penco, P-E-N-N-C-O, but there's also a note that there was no bid.
Yeah, it's coming on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the next one is, let me see. This one is Bureau, okay. Bureau of Procurement, B50006130, hydrofluorosilicic acid for water treatment. The bidder is do you have Univar Solutions? You have Univar Solutions?
I do. I have Univar USA.
Okay, so
Okay.
the total bid amount, $755,120. $755,120. The next one is Penco Inc. Total dollar amount is $726,000. $726,000.
Okay, these will go to procurement for review.
The next item is the Department of Finance tax sale auction of tax liens. The first one is, the bidder is Each and Every Way LLC. The owner is Jonathan Overton. And the tax lien is $12,702.57, and the bid amount is $13,000.
I'm not putting it in the envelope. The check, yes, but it's not a bid bond. Yeah, it is. It's a guarantee. It is. Oh, it is? He's bidding on that bundle. Right, but this is the whole amount. Yes, that's what they require. This is the whole thing. Okay, but I thought we only put the bid checks in this. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Same procedure. Sure. All right.
Now, Glenn. Glenn. This one doesn't have a check?
No. Yeah, we don't know what their requirements were.
Okay.
We don't know if they're required to have it at the time we open it now.
Okay.
So just send it down.
So these are the same. He sent two of them?
If the department feels otherwise.
Yeah. So why did he send two of them?
He's bidding on more than one bundle.
They're the same.
Don't know.
They're exactly the same.
Something too, we did something with it.
Okay. Okay, the next bidder is Antoine Johnson, known as Elite Homes LLC, and is bidding on 3816 Roland View Avenue for $8,149.18. That's $8,149.18. Also bidding on 4127 West Rogers Avenue, $15,404.45. And also bidding on 2913 Thorndale Avenue for $15,702.57. That's $15,702.57.
What was the first number, please?
Pardon me?
The first amount?
The first one is 3816 Roland View Avenue, $8,149.18. And the second one is 4127 West Rogers Avenue, $15,404.45.
Okay.
Okay. I have an announcement to make before we adjourn. On today, the board at its 9:00 a.m. meeting approved the rejection of all bids for B50006115 utility van service body installation. On October 7th, 2020, 2 bids were received for this solicitation but were not open. The solicitation was referenced in City Buy but was not advertised in the local newspapers as required per the city's charter. For this reason, the board rejects all bids. A new solicitation will be reissued.
And for the tax sale auction of liens, those will go to the, it says procurement, but should it be finance? Procurement? Finance. Okay, let me make a quick change on that. I see, there's a difference. Sure. Yep.
There being no more business before this board. It is now adjourned. Thank you.
All right.